travel back in time as we uncover the heartbreaking destinies of the cast of the Beverly Hillbillies, the beloved television icons who graced American screens from 1962 to 1971. While their on-screen charm and laughter brought joy to millions, behind the scenes lay untold stories of pain, loss, and tragedy. What began as a light-hearted sitcom hides a haunting legacy. Every main cast member faced a cruel fate, battling devastating illnesses, enduring crippling psychological struggles, or falling victim to tragic, unforeseen accidents. This journey through the forgotten pages of Hollywood history reveals the bittersweet nature of fame, how the spotlight that once illuminated their lives faded, leaving many to wrestle with loneliness, obscurity, and suffering. Join us on this poignant exploration, as we not only honor their unforgettable contributions to the entertainment industry but also confront the emotional costs that came with it. These are the stories you were never told, and once you hear them, you'll never forget. Bea Arthur, 1906 to 1968. A shining talent in the golden era of American television, Bea Arthur brought warmth and comic brilliance to the role of Cousin Pearl Bodine on the Beverly Hillbillies, the feisty and meddling mother of Jethro who schemed to win the heart of Mr. Drysdale and elevate her family's social status. Her unmistakable voice had already made her a household name as the original voice of Betty Rubble in the Flintstones, and her legacy extended across classic programs such as Petticoat Junction, where she starred as Kate Bradley, the beloved matriarch of the Shady Rest Hotel. Bea's comedic timing was unparalleled, but behind her joyful on-screen persona lay private struggles. Her early career was fueled by radio, with standout performances in the Jack Benny program and the George Burns and Gracie Allen show. Despite her trailblazing success, Bea's personal life was marked by quiet sorrow. Her first marriage to Jim Bannon, a fellow radio actor, ended in divorce after years of difficulty. She later found comfort with Eugene Twombly, whom she married in 1957, but their happiness was tragically brief. Diagnosed with lung cancer in 1967, Bea fought bravely, continuing to work through treatments, her voice steadily fading even as her spirit remained fierce. She passed away in 1968 at the age of 62, just days after her husband's sudden death from a heart attack. Her only son, Jack, bore the burden of both losses in silence, left to grieve not just a mother but the guiding light of his world. Born in 1908 in Belleville, Illinois, Buddy Epson became the unlikely heart of a nation through his portrayal of Jed Clampett, the gentle, wise patriarch in the Beverly Hillbillies. Epson's career was a long and winding one, a dancer in the 1930s who was originally cast as the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, 1939, only to be replaced after nearly dying from aluminum dust inhalation during filming. The role that nearly made him famous also nearly killed him. Epson would eventually recover, but he bore the scars for the rest of his life. After the Hillbillies ended, he found success again in Barnaby Jones, 1973 to 1980, playing a private detective in his later years. Yet, behind the scenes, his personal life was a story of loss and longing. He was married 3 times, had 7 children, and endured painful estrangements. His daughter Kiki would later speak of emotional distance and misunderstood intentions. As the years took their toll, the once vibrant entertainer faded. In 2003, at the age of 95, Buddy passed away due to respiratory failure, alone in a hospital room in Torrance, California. The man who brought millions of Americans laughter died quietly, with only memories to speak for him, echoes of a hillbilly hero who came down from the mountain and never quite fit in with the world he found. Irene Ryan, Daisy Moses. Born in 1902 in El Paso, Texas, Irene Ryan was comedy's tragic rose, sharp, hilarious, and forever shadowed by loneliness. She delighted the world as Granny Daisy Moses, the feisty matriarch with a mean moonshine and a quicker tongue, on the Beverly Hillbillies. Audiences fell in love with her, but few knew the depth of pain that danced behind her eyes. Before her breakout role, Ryan had spent decades as a vaudeville performer, often overlooked and typecast. Her marriage to comic Tim Ryan crumbled under the weight of ambition and neglect, and she never remarried nor had children. Fame came late and burned fast. When the Hillbillies ended, she tried to revive her career on Broadway, starring in Pippin in 1973. But fate had other plans. During a performance, she collapsed on stage. The diagnosis was a malignant brain tumor and glioblastoma. The cancer ravaged her quickly. She died later that year, at 70, in Santa Monica, a star gone dim in a room full of silence. There were no children to mourn her, no family nearby. Just an audience somewhere, still laughing, unaware that their beloved granny had died not with a bang, but a whisper. Shug Fischer, 1907 to 1984. In the later seasons of the Beverly Hillbillies, Shug Fischer stepped into the dusty boots of Shorty Kellum's, Jed Clampett's childhood friend, bringing with him a homespun charm and musical flair that echoed his real-life roots. With a face carved by time and eyes that hinted at stories untold, he portrayed various scraggly, good-natured farmers in the series, often weaving humor into the fabric of the show. Born George Clinton Fisher Jr., Shug was not merely an actor, he was a gifted musician and a beloved member of the Sons of the Pioneers, the iconic Western music group. His voice carried the heartache and dusty hope of the American West, performing in films like Rio Grande and alongside Roy Rogers in numerous musical westerns. Yet, beyond the twang of his guitar and the laughter he inspired, Shug's personal life was laced with melancholy. Though devoted to his craft, his journey was solitary, he never married, and his relationships, though close, were often fleeting. As he aged, his health began to fail, and in his final years, he suffered from a lengthy illness that slowly dimmed the light behind his once sparkling performances. In 1984, he died in Los Angeles, far from the Oklahoma plains that had first nurtured his love for song and story. His passing marked the quiet end of a deeply American voice, one that had sung through sorrow and joy with equal grace.
Sharon Tate, 1943 to 1969. There was a shimmering fragility to Sharon Tate, a kind of celestial beauty that transcended the screen and left audiences spellbound, even in brief appearances such as Janet Trago on the Beverly Hillbillies. She played a bank secretary, sweet, polished, and lovely, a role that mirrored the gentleness of her real self. But Sharon was not destined for sitcoms alone. Her career was on a meteoric rise with haunting performances in Valley of the Dolls and The Fearless Vampire Killers, directed by Roman Polanski, the man she would marry in 1968. Their union was one of artistic allure and whispered sadness, marred by long separations and a city gripped by unrest. Sharon's childhood, the daughter of an army officer, was rootless, always moving, never anchored. She longed for stability, for a family, and when she became pregnant with her first child, she thought she had finally found it. But fate dealt a cruelty so monstrous it would echo for generations. On the night of August 8, 1969, at 8.5 months pregnant, Sharon was brutally murdered by followers of Charles Manson in her Los Angeles home. A savage act of senseless evil that stole from the world a luminous soul not yet fully formed. Her unborn son died with her. The grief of her parents, Colonel Paul Tate and Doris Tate, would never heal. Her mother spent the rest of her life fighting for victims' rights, her voice shaped by an absence too deep to name. Sharon's story, forever frozen in the golden shimmer of 1960s Hollywood, remains one of the industry's most soul-wrenching tragedies. Donna Douglas Ellie Mae Clampett. Born Doris Ione Smith in 1932 in the small town of Pride, Louisiana, Donna Douglas seemed destined for the screen with her sunny smile and southern charm. She became Ellie Mae Clampett, the lovable, animal-cuddling tomboy in the Beverly Hillbillies, a role that made her a household name and a national sweetheart. But fame, as it often does, masked heartbreak. Behind the pigtails and dimples was a woman struggling to be seen beyond a single role. Typecast and creatively stifled, Donna's career withered after the show ended. She appeared in a handful of films, most notably as Maid Marian in Frankie and Johnny, 1966, opposite Elvis Presley, a professional high point shadowed by the loneliness of Hollywood's indifference. Her personal life offered little sanctuary. She married and divorced once, had a son, Danny, and though she was deeply devoted to him, they reportedly had periods of strained communication. She later turned to Christian ministry and inspirational speaking, finding solace in faith but still haunted by the fleeting nature of fame. In her later years, she battled pancreatic cancer, a quiet war waged far from the cameras. Donna died on New Year's Day, 2015, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at age 82. As the world remembered Ellie Mae's radiant innocence, Few knew that the actress had passed away in a hospital bed, with pain in her body and the long-forgotten roar of studio applause fading in the background. Nancy Culp, Jane Hathaway, born August 28, 1921. Nancy Culp, the statuesque and sharp-witted actress who played the prim and proper Jane Hathaway, was both a comedic force and a quietly complex woman. Before her Hollywood years, Nancy served as a member of the U.S. Naval Reserve during World War II, a testament to her resilience and independence. In the Beverly Hillbillies, she portrayed the loyal secretary to Mr. Drysdale, often caught in the whirlwind of the Clampetts' country charm and upper-crust chaos. Outside of this iconic role, she appeared in films such as Shane, 1953, and The Parent Trap, 1961, though it was television that truly defined her career. Despite her professional success, Nancy struggled personally. She never married, and whispers of her sexuality in conservative Hollywood made her an outsider in many social circles. She ran for Congress in Pennsylvania in 1984, only to be betrayed by former co-star Buddy Epson, who publicly opposed her. That blow cut deeper than she let on. In her final years, Nancy fought a valiant battle with cancer, passing away from the disease on February 3, 1991, in a hospice in Palm Desert, California. The quiet of her death contrasted cruelly with the vibrant spirit she brought to life on screen. A gentle fade for a woman who once commanded every frame. Raymond Bailey Milburn Drysdale. Born in 1904 in San Francisco, Raymond Bailey brought to life the calculating yet hapless banker Milburn Drysdale, the man who chased Jed Clampett's millions with a desperate blend of greed and charm. But off-screen, Bailey's life unraveled in ways more tragic than comedic. His early career was a long series of failures. He was once told he'd never make it in acting, and he drifted through odd jobs, including working on a pineapple plantation in Hawaii. When success finally came, it was bittersweet and brief. Despite his polished exterior, Bailey was a profoundly lonely man. He never married, had no children, and kept his personal life painfully private. Co-stars described him as distant, formal, a man more comfortable behind a script than in the company of others. In his final years, Alzheimer's disease stole what his isolated life had not already claimed. He was forced into early retirement when the illness worsened, his once sharp wit dulled by confusion and decline. In 1980, he died in Irvine, California, alone in a rest home at the age of 75. The man who once played the keeper of the Clampetts' fortune left the world with no fortune of his own, no heirs, and few visitors to mourn him. His death was as quiet as his heartbreak, a fading presence from a golden age of television, remembered more for the laugh he gave than the life he lost.
Harriet E. McGibbon, Mrs. Margaret Drysdale, born October 5, 1905. Harriet McGibbon's portrayal of the haughty and snobbish Mrs. Margaret Drysdale brought a piercing wit to the Beverly Hillbillies, her icy disdain for the Clampetts cloaking a performer of immense warmth and theatrical depth. Beginning her career on stage and in early radio, Harriet was a seasoned actress long before television ever found her. She took to roles in My Man Godfrey, 1936, and Cry for Happy, 1961, but it was as the pearl-draped matriarch of privilege in Hillbillies that audiences knew her best. Off-screen, Harriet's life bore its own tragedies. Her marriage to writer William Brandenstein was filled with prolonged separations and creative differences that bled into their personal relationship. Their only child suffered from mental health challenges, which Harriet kept hidden from the public eye, trying to preserve the image of an ideal family that never truly existed. After leaving acting in the late 1960s, she lived in relative obscurity, her once regal presence dimmed by solitude and the silence of an industry that had moved on. Harriet died of pulmonary complications on February 8, 1987, in Beverly Hills, alone, save for a distant relative. The sharp elegance she once embodied faded into memory, a final performance no audience was there to witness.
Frank Wilcox, 1907 to 1974. Frank Wilcox bore the face of authority. A tall, square-jawed presence that made him a go-to figure for judges, executives, and dignitaries across over 150 films and countless TV shows. On the Beverly Hillbillies, he played John Brewster, the oil executive whose deal with Jed Clampett set the entire fish-out-of-water comedy into motion. Though a smaller part, His presence was pivotal, his screen gravitas undeniable. A product of DeSoto, Missouri, Frank studied law before succumbing to the pull of the stage and screen. His career was steady, if not always glamorous. He appeared in films like The Ten Commandments, High Sierra, and Yankee Doodle Dandy, often in roles that placed him just outside the spotlight. But while his career exuded control and confidence, his private life bore the ache of quiet discontent. Wilcox was married, though his relationships were known more for their formality than warmth, and he fathered no children. Off camera, he retreated into solitude, increasingly disillusioned with an industry that often overlooked his craft. In 1974, Frank died of a heart attack at 66, alone, quietly, without fanfare. There was no dramatic ending, no Hollywood tribute, just the fading echo of a consummate character actor whose legacy remains largely unsung. A ghost in the background of America's most iconic stories.
What do you think about the deaths of the actors from the Beverly Hillbillies, and who do you miss the most? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our latest videos.